Happiness isn't a destination, it's a decision you make every single day. Too many people sit back, waiting for life to give them a reason to smile. They think that happiness will show up when they get the job they want, when the bills are paid, or when their body looks just right. But let me ask you, what happens when life doesn't align perfectly? The truth is, it never will. And that's the lesson the Stoics taught us. Happiness isn't something life gives you. It's something you create. It's not about waiting for the stars to align, but about choosing to rise above the chaos and take control of your response. What if I told you that you already have the power to be happy today, no matter what's going on around you? You see, true happiness is built on the decisions you make, not the circumstances you wait for. In this video, I'm going to show you how Stoic philosophy can help you become the kind of person who wakes up every day choosing joy, even when things don't go as planned. You don't need to wait for the perfect conditions. You need the discipline to act. If you're ready to stop waiting and start building happiness right now, like this video and subscribe. Let's dive into how you can choose peace, clarity, and inner strength, no matter what life throws at you. 1. Train yourself to rise, even without motivation. We've all been there, waking up feeling drained, unmotivated, and uncertain about the day ahead. It's a struggle that many people face, especially in today's fast-paced world. We often feel overwhelmed by the demands of work, family, and personal expectations. The idea of taking action when you're feeling low or uninspired seems impossible, and so many people wait. They wait for the right moment, the right feeling, or the right motivation to get moving. But here's the truth. Waiting for motivation is a trap. Motivation is fleeting. It doesn't arrive on schedule, and more often than not, it leaves just as quickly as it comes. If you rely on motivation alone to propel you forward, you will often find yourself stuck in a cycle of hesitation and frustration. The key to lasting success, happiness, and growth isn't motivation. It's discipline. And discipline is something you can train yourself to develop, even on the days when motivation feels like a distant memory. Consider the life of Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was born into slavery and later crippled. Despite these overwhelming challenges, he didn't let his circumstances dictate his fate. Instead, he focused on what he could control: his mind, his thoughts, and his actions. Epictetus didn't wait for inspiration to strike. He didn't wait for the perfect moment to begin his teachings. He acted despite his circumstances. He chose to show up every day, not because he felt like it, but because he knew that his daily actions were what would shape his future. The Stoic mindset teaches us something critical. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond to it. This response, this choice to act even when you don't feel like it, is the foundation of discipline. Think about how many times you've told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," or "I'll do it when I feel more motivated." These excuses seem harmless in the moment, but they only reinforce the idea that your actions are subject to your feelings, not your will. In reality, true growth happens when you take action despite the feelings. When you start doing something, even if you don't feel like it, you give yourself the opportunity to change, improve, and progress. Motivation will often follow action, not the other way around. Take the example of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. He didn't sit around waiting for motivation to show up. Marcus ruled an empire during constant turmoil and war, yet he continued his philosophical practices, writing the Meditations, not in peace and quiet, but in the midst of the chaos of ruling an empire. He didn't wait for a good day to begin his work. Instead, he recognized that the work must be done no matter the external circumstances. His actions were guided by discipline, not emotion. This approach is what separates those who rise above adversity from those who remain stuck. Discipline is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about acting consistently, regardless of how you feel. When you get up every day, even when you don't feel like it, and take small steps toward your goals, you begin to build resilience. You teach yourself that your goals are worth pursuing, even when the motivation isn't there. How do you develop this discipline? Start with small, manageable actions. It could be as simple as setting your alarm for the same time each day, even if you don't feel like getting up. Or it could be deciding to do just 5 minutes of exercise each morning, even if you feel too tired. These small steps may not seem significant at first, but over time, they add up to massive changes. You're training your mind and body to act, even when motivation isn't present. Here's the key. Consistency over time is more powerful than bursts of motivation. The more you repeat the process of showing up and doing the work, even when it feels hard or uncomfortable, the more your brain rewires itself to make discipline a habit. Eventually, these small actions become second nature, and you don't need to rely on motivation anymore. You've built momentum, and momentum is the greatest ally in achieving your goals. When you wake up in the morning and choose to act, despite not feeling motivated, you begin to master the art of self-discipline. You develop a mindset that doesn't wait for the stars to align. Instead, you make the choice to rise, no matter the circumstances. This is true power, the power to shape your life by your decisions, not by your moods. Think about it. Every day you delay taking action is a day you're giving up your power. Every time you choose to wait for motivation instead of creating it through action, you're reinforcing the idea that you're not in control. But when you train yourself to act, regardless of how you feel, you break free from that cycle. You become the person who leads their life, not the one who waits for life to dictate their actions. So the next time you feel the urge to delay, to procrastinate, or to wait until you feel motivated, remember this: motivation follows action. Take the first step, even if it's small, and watch as momentum begins to build. With every step you take, you move closer to the person you want to become. And that is the discipline that will carry you to success. The success that comes not from waiting, but from deciding to rise every single day. Discipline is the secret to living the life you want. Don't wait for motivation. Build discipline and let it lead you to greatness. 2. Your identity is built on what you do repeatedly. It's easy to imagine that we are defined by our accomplishments, our achievements, or the accolades we receive from others. But in reality, what truly defines us is the sum of our daily actions. In every moment, we are actively shaping who we are becoming. The truth is, you don't become who you want to be by waiting for the right moment or for external circumstances to change. Instead, you become who you are through the habits and choices you make every single day. The Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. Epictetus, for instance, faced immense hardship in his life. Born a slave and later crippled, he could have easily let these external circumstances define his life. Yet, he chose not to be defined by his status, his limitations, or his past. Instead, he shaped his identity through his actions, focusing on the things he could control: his thoughts, his responses, and his character. In his teachings, Epictetus made it clear that we are not defined by what happens to us, but by how we respond to it. Our identity is built by our actions, not by the circumstances we face. If we continually act in alignment with our values, we are building a strong, resilient character. Conversely, if we act against our core beliefs or neglect our values, we're slowly chipping away at who we truly are. This idea is so central to Stoicism that Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, often reminded himself that he should not be distracted by external noise or opinions. He made it clear that our happiness and sense of self are based on what we do repeatedly, and those repeated actions shape our character. A single moment of brilliance or a single mistake may affect us temporarily, but it is the daily practice that defines who we are over time. Here's the hard truth. You can't expect to build a strong identity by simply wishing for it. It's not about what you say or think you will do. It's about what you do consistently. The habits you practice shape your identity more than any one success or failure. You are the sum of your daily choices, and every small action builds who you are becoming. Take the example of Seneca, another Stoic philosopher who was a prominent statesman, and yet, despite his power, he emphasized the importance of living a life consistent with one's values. He believed that the quality of your life is a direct result of the habits you form. Whether it's the time you dedicate to self-reflection, how you manage your emotions, or how you treat others, these small daily actions define your character. So, what do your daily habits say about you? Do you procrastinate, avoiding the hard work and meaningful tasks that build your future? Or do you consistently show up, no matter the challenges? Your habits are what ultimately create your identity, not the one-off efforts or spontaneous bursts of motivation. If you want to be someone who is calm in chaos, disciplined in the face of distractions, or successful in your work, you have to actively practice those qualities every single day. One of the most common mistakes people make is thinking that big changes come from a singular breakthrough. They believe that success, happiness, or transformation will happen overnight if they just work hard enough or reach a certain milestone. But real transformation is the result of consistent, everyday actions. Every small choice you make, whether it's to show up, to work on yourself, or to align your actions with your values, is a brick in the foundation of who you are. You are building your identity, not just in big moments, but in the mundane, repetitive actions of daily life. Consider the habits you engage in each day. Do you spend your mornings scrolling through your phone, diving into the noise of the world before you've even had a chance to decide how you want to spend your day? Or do you set aside time for reflection, for intention setting, or for personal growth before you step into the world? How you start your day sets the tone for how you show up for the rest of it. But it doesn't stop at the morning. How do you respond to challenges? Do you react impulsively, or do you take a moment to pause and reflect on how best to respond? Your ability to act with clarity, even in difficult situations, builds the foundation of your identity. Every small decision matters, and it's the accumulation of these decisions that shape your overall character. The powerful thing about this Stoic view is that it empowers you. You are not a victim of your circumstances. Your identity is not set in stone. You can choose to build the person you want to become, one action at a time. And the best part is that this process is entirely in your hands. It's in your control to decide how you spend your time, how you act under pressure, and how you choose to engage with the world around you. By building habits aligned with your values, you are actively designing the life you want. You're not waiting for someone to define you or for an external event to change your life. You take charge, building an identity that reflects your core beliefs. The more you consistently align your actions with your values, the stronger your character becomes. Over time, these small decisions lead to lasting change and a sense of peace and fulfillment that comes from knowing you are living true to yourself. So ask yourself, what do my daily habits say about who I am becoming? What small actions can I take today to reinforce the person I want to be tomorrow? Start building that identity today by making one small, intentional choice. Your future self will thank you for it. 3. What you focus on, you become. The power of focus is undeniable. Every day we are bombarded by countless distractions, thoughts, and emotions. And in this chaos, we often lose sight of what truly matters. What many don't realize, though, is that our focus shapes our reality. In the same way a lens magnifies an image, our focus magnifies what we choose to give attention to in our lives. And the most important part of this is understanding that what we focus on, good or bad, becomes our truth. This is something Marcus Aurelius knew well. As an emperor, he was faced with endless challenges, wars, betrayals, and difficult decisions. Yet he still wrote in his meditations that we have the power to direct our focus, no matter what life presents us with. He could have easily fixated on his struggles, and surely there were many. But instead, he chose to focus on his duties, his mindset, and his role in society. Through this, he understood that peace and happiness come not from avoiding challenges, but from focusing on what we can control, our response to those challenges. Imagine this. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the ground, you already feel overwhelmed by the thought of the day ahead. The stresses of work, personal obligations, or financial pressure flood your mind. It's easy to get trapped in this negative spiral. The more you focus on these stressors, the more they control you. But here's the Stoic lesson. If you focus on the challenges, they will consume you. But if you focus on your responses, your ability to act with clarity, to stay calm, and to be intentional, you take back control. The choice of where to place your focus is entirely in your hands. What happens if you shift your focus toward your strengths, your potential, or even the simple things you can be grateful for today? Suddenly, the pressure and anxiety that seemed so overpowering begin to lose their grip. You realize that you can choose to see the good even amidst the chaos. We often find ourselves focusing on things that drain us, the news, the drama at work, or personal grievances. While it's natural to acknowledge these things, focusing on them excessively only magnifies the negativity. But what if, instead of spending hours on things that leave us exhausted or anxious, we shifted our focus to things that empower us? Small shifts like focusing on progress instead of problems, or gratefulness instead of complaint, can create a profound change in our daily experience. A powerful example of this is the approach that Epictetus took. Born into slavery and later crippled, he could have spent his life dwelling on the injustice of his circumstances. But instead, he chose to focus on his inner strength and his ability to make choices, regardless of his physical condition. Epictetus understood that how we frame our challenges determines whether we rise above them or succumb to them. So, how can you apply this to your life? Start by actively practicing where you direct your focus. It can be something as simple as taking a moment every morning to set your intention for the day. Instead of automatically jumping into work, social media, or the never-ending to-do list, choose to focus on something positive first. It could be a personal goal, something you're grateful for, or even a calm, focused moment before the storm. Additionally, pause throughout the day to remind yourself, what am I focusing on right now? Is this serving me or draining me? If you catch yourself spiraling into negativity, shift your focus back to what you can control: your attitude, your actions, and your responses. The small shift in focus may feel subtle, but its impact can be profound. By consciously choosing what you focus on, you create a stronger, more resilient mindset. Over time, this practice can help you develop a mindset that is calm, clear, and empowered, no matter what life throws your way. In essence, your life becomes what you focus on. Focus on gratitude, growth, and what's working, and you will start to see more of those things. Focus on the challenges, the things outside your control, and you'll find yourself in a cycle of stress and frustration. The Stoics knew this, and they practiced it every day. So, what will you focus on today? Will you choose to focus on the problems, or will you shift your attention toward your strengths, your potential, and the actions you can take to make today meaningful? The choice is yours, and the direction your life takes depends on where you choose to place your focus. You're here, and that shows real dedication. The path to wisdom is a journey, not a sprint, and you've already taken an important step. Stick around, because the best insights are yet to come, and they'll empower you to transform your life. 4. Don't chase joy. Build alignment. In a world constantly pushing us to seek happiness in external sources, whether it's material success, approval from others, or fleeting pleasures, it's easy to fall into the trap of chasing joy. We believe that joy is something out there, something we can acquire or earn once we check off certain boxes. But this constant pursuit often leads to emptiness rather than fulfillment. The real question we should be asking isn't, how can I get joy? But how can I live in alignment with my values and principles so that joy naturally flows from within? Consider the example of Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. Despite his wealth and high status in Roman society, Seneca repeatedly emphasized that true happiness isn't found in external success, but in living a life that is aligned with virtue, integrity, and self-control. He recognized that joy comes from living in accordance with our core values, not from seeking temporary pleasures or chasing after external validation. Seneca's life wasn't free from adversity. He faced exile, political intrigues, and personal setbacks. Yet he found a lasting sense of fulfillment, not by avoiding hardship, but by aligning his actions with his Stoic principles, which guided him through each difficult circumstance. For Seneca, joy wasn't an elusive prize, but a natural byproduct of living authentically. When you make choices that reflect your values, when your actions are in sync with what you believe to be right, joy becomes an organic result of the alignment you create between your inner self and your outward behavior. In this way, joy doesn't come from chasing something outside of yourself. It's cultivated through conscious, everyday decisions that reinforce the person you want to be. This Stoic wisdom challenges the common misconception that happiness comes from external rewards. The new car, the promotion, the approval of others. These things may provide fleeting satisfaction, but they are not the source of lasting joy. True joy is about alignment, the peace that comes from knowing you are living according to your values, not because you're waiting for things to fall into place. The mistake many people make is that they pursue joy as a destination, believing that once they have what they want, joy will follow. This leads to a never-ending chase. Whether it's the next career milestone, the perfect relationship, or the perfect life situation, you will constantly find yourself searching for joy outside yourself, which leaves you feeling unsatisfied. The truth is, joy is not a destination, it's a state of being, and it begins with the alignment of your actions with your true purpose. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, took a different approach. Despite being an emperor with immense power, he never sought happiness in external luxury or success. Instead, he worked to align his actions with his duties. He understood that true peace and fulfillment came when one acted in accordance with virtue, regardless of external circumstances. For Marcus, joy was an inner state that came from being true to himself, living with honesty, integrity, and commitment to his higher purpose. This alignment of internal values and external actions is what allowed him to find lasting peace, even amidst constant challenges. So how can we apply this in our daily lives? Start by identifying your core values. What do you stand for? What principles guide your decisions? Once you know what matters to you, ask yourself whether your actions align with those values. If they don't, it's time to make a change. If you constantly seek approval from others, ask yourself if that aligns with your belief in self-worth. If you find yourself working endlessly for external rewards, ask yourself if that aligns with your value of balance and health. In your daily choices, act in alignment with your core values. This doesn't mean rejecting the things you enjoy or care about, but living in a way that reflects the person you want to be, even when it's difficult. For instance, if you value health, prioritize physical exercise, even when you don't feel like it. If you value honesty, speak your truth in situations where it might be uncomfortable. If you value relationships, make time to connect with people who uplift you, rather than chasing after superficial connections that don't nourish you. Remember, joy doesn't have to be pursued. It's the natural consequence of aligning your actions with your values. When your life is aligned, even in the midst of challenges, you will find a steady, deep-rooted happiness that isn't dependent on fleeting moments or material rewards. In conclusion, stop chasing joy as if it's something to be caught or obtained. Start by aligning your actions with your values. Joy will follow naturally as you live authentically and in harmony with who you truly are. True fulfillment comes from within, and it is built on the foundation of consistent, value-driven actions. Choose alignment today and watch how joy becomes a constant presence in your life, no longer a distant goal, but a part of who you are. 5. Gratitude makes you whole, even in chaos. In a world that constantly pushes us to look for what's wrong, it's easy to forget what's right. We are often consumed by the pressures of our jobs, our relationships, and the relentless pace of modern life. It's all too common to focus on what we don't have or what isn't going well. But what if the key to happiness isn't in fixing everything around us, but in reframing our focus and choosing to appreciate the small, often overlooked blessings in our lives? The Stoics knew this truth well. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote extensively about the importance of gratitude, especially in the face of hardship. He believed that gratitude was a powerful tool for grounding ourselves when life felt chaotic and unfair. Seneca didn't just talk about gratitude as a nice sentiment, but as a practical and vital habit that allowed us to take control of our emotional responses. Imagine being in the midst of a difficult day. Your boss is angry, deadlines are looming, and you're feeling mentally drained. It's easy to let these moments define your entire day, creating a downward spiral of stress and negativity. But this is where gratitude comes in as a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of focusing on what's going wrong, you can choose to focus on what's going right, even if it's something small. Maybe it's the warm cup of coffee in your hands, the kind words of a colleague, or even the ability to take a deep breath. Marcus Aurelius was no stranger to hardship. As a ruler, he faced constant political and military pressures. Yet, he often reminded himself to be grateful for what he had, instead of lamenting over what he didn't. His daily writings found in Meditations show a profound practice of reflecting on the positive aspects of life, even in times of extreme difficulty. For Marcus, gratitude wasn't about ignoring pain, but about finding peace amidst it. He knew that by focusing on what was still good, his health, his mind, his principles, he could maintain a sense of peace no matter what was happening externally. The Stoic practice of gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring the challenges you face. It's about acknowledging the difficulties while also recognizing the things that still work in your life. Gratitude isn't about avoiding pain, but about having the strength to find something to be thankful for, even in the hardest of times. It's an act of defiance against life's unfairness, an affirmation that you will not let adversity steal your peace. Think about the last time you faced a tough situation. What did you focus on? Were you overwhelmed by the problems at hand, or did you take a step back and find something positive to anchor yourself in? The mistake many people make is to only focus on the negative aspects of their lives, ignoring the good. This type of thinking feeds our stress, anxiety, and discontent. When we focus only on what's going wrong, we miss the opportunities to find joy in the present moment. This is why gratitude is so transformative. It's not about pretending that everything is okay. It's about accepting the reality of the situation and choosing to acknowledge the good that still exists. By practicing gratitude, we reclaim our power. We shift our focus from the chaos to the clarity that gratitude brings, reminding ourselves that even in the midst of turmoil, we still have something to be thankful for. Take a simple practice from the Stoics. At the end of your day, reflect on what went well. What small wins did you experience today? It could be something as simple as having the strength to keep going, even when you felt exhausted, or finding a moment of peace amidst a chaotic day. This simple act of reflection doesn't diminish the challenges you faced. Instead, it reframes the narrative, shifting your focus towards what's still good, what's still working. Gratitude works even in the most difficult of times. When life feels overwhelming and everything seems to be falling apart, taking a moment to express gratitude can serve as a reminder of your resilience. Gratitude makes you whole because it anchors you in what truly matters. It gives you the strength to continue, no matter the external chaos. Incorporating gratitude into your daily routine is simple, yet powerful. Begin each morning by thinking of one thing you are grateful for. It could be your health, a loved one, or the opportunity to learn something new. Throughout the day, whenever you feel overwhelmed, pause and remind yourself of what's still good. And before you go to sleep, reflect on the positive moments of your day, no matter how small. By practicing gratitude, you shift your focus from scarcity to abundance. You stop measuring your happiness based on what you don't have and start appreciating the things that already bring you joy. This practice grounds you, no matter what's happening around you, and helps you maintain inner peace in the midst of life's inevitable chaos. Gratitude is a powerful tool, one that brings calm to the mind, resilience to the spirit, and balance to your emotions. It isn't just a feel-good habit, it's a practical Stoic tool that helps you maintain your clarity, peace, and sense of self, no matter what challenges you face. So, take a moment each day to pause and reflect on the good that's still in your life, and let that gratitude fuel your strength to rise above adversity. 6. Stop waiting for closure. Create it from within. We all know what it feels like to wait for closure. We've been there, waiting for an apology that might never come, or hoping that someone will finally acknowledge the pain we've been carrying. We believe that if we can just get that final piece of the puzzle, that last word from someone else, then we'll be able to heal, to move on. But the harsh truth is that closure doesn't come from external sources. It comes from within. Waiting for someone or something outside of yourself to provide it is like waiting for a storm to calm before you move forward. You cannot control when or how others respond, but you can control how you choose to heal. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, knew this well. He was born into slavery and later lived with a physical disability, yet he chose not to let his circumstances define him. He understood that what truly matters is not the events of our past, but how we choose to react to them. Closure doesn't come from waiting for the world to apologize for us, but from the power of taking ownership of our emotions and creating peace for ourselves. It's common to think that closure is something we receive from others, but in reality, we hold the key to our own healing. The Stoics believed that external circumstances, whether good or bad, do not define us. It's our internal responses that shape our identity. So, instead of waiting for someone to give us what we think we need, we must give it to ourselves. Take the example of a personal relationship that has ended poorly, leaving you with questions and unresolved emotions. You might be waiting for that person to explain, to apologize, or to provide clarity. However, waiting for someone else to provide closure only keeps you tied to the past. True freedom comes when you let go of needing the other person's actions to determine your peace. What can you do instead? Start by acknowledging the emotions you're feeling, whether it's anger, sadness, or frustration. Don't suppress them, but give yourself permission to feel them. From there, choose to release them, not for the sake of the other person, but for your own peace. You don't need them to heal. You need your own resolve. Letting go of this external dependency is one of the most empowering things you can do. This is a concept central to Stoic practice. Take responsibility for your own peace. Marcus Aurelius, while dealing with the challenges of ruling an empire, wrote about the importance of accepting what is beyond his control, including the actions of others. In his meditations, he urged himself to accept the present moment and recognize that his power lay in how he chose to respond. He didn't wait for external validation or closure. He gave himself the closure by deciding to find peace within himself, no matter what was happening around him. This Stoic mindset shifts the power dynamic. Instead of waiting for an apology, for an answer, or for some external event to bring peace, you decide to create it within yourself. Closure is not something you wait for. It is something you choose to make happen. This doesn't mean ignoring the pain or pretending that everything is fine. It means choosing to move forward, choosing peace despite the hurt. It's about letting go of the need for resolution from others and instead resolving to move on, to learn, and to grow from your experience. One of the most common mistakes people make is thinking that closure is a destination that can only be reached if the other person acts in a certain way. This kind of thinking traps us in a cycle of waiting, leaving us vulnerable to the whims of others. We relinquish our own power by waiting for someone else to dictate when we can be at peace. But the Stoic response is clear. You can find peace by deciding to close the chapter yourself. To practice this, you need to actively choose to let go. Whether it's through writing in a journal, having a moment of reflection, or meditating on your ability to move forward, take intentional steps to release what no longer serves you. Every time you let go of the need for external closure, you strengthen your inner resilience, and you build the peace that is only available when you take full ownership of your emotional well-being. This doesn't mean you won't feel the weight of past hurts. It simply means that you choose to rise above them, not because you've forgotten them, but because you've chosen to no longer let them control your future. It is in choosing to move forward, despite the lack of external closure, that we find true freedom. In conclusion, stop waiting for the apology or the validation from others. Create your own closure. Your peace, your healing, and your growth are in your hands. Don't give anyone else the power to dictate your emotional well-being. You hold the key to your own closure, and when you choose to take it, you step into a life where you are the author of your own narrative. Own your peace. Don't let others take it from you. In a world filled with distractions, conflicts, and relentless demands, peace can feel like a fleeting luxury. It's easy to let the noise of everyday life steal your sense of calm. The constant pressure from work, the opinions of others, or the never-ending stream of external chaos. But here's the truth. Your peace is yours to protect. It's not something others can take from you unless you allow it. The real power lies in your ability to maintain your inner calm, regardless of what's happening around you. Consider the life of Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire under constant war, political instability, and betrayal. Despite the external chaos, he remained steadfast in his commitment to inner peace. In his meditations, he often reminded himself that he alone controlled his inner world. Even when external events were beyond his control, he could always choose how he responded. His ability to own his peace and not let external circumstances disturb it was a cornerstone of his leadership and his Stoic philosophy. In the same way, you have the power to decide what affects you. No one can steal your peace unless you hand it over willingly. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending that everything is fine. It means choosing to protect your emotional and mental space, drawing clear boundaries between you and the chaos of the outside world. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed, anxious, or upset because of someone else's actions or words. Maybe a coworker criticized your work unfairly, or a loved one said something hurtful. It's easy to let other people's actions take away your peace, especially when we feel personally attacked or hurt. But the Stoic approach teaches us that we have the power to choose how we respond. You don't have to react emotionally to every situation or let the actions of others dictate how you feel. The mistake many people make is thinking that peace is something that happens when life is calm or when people around them are acting the way they want. But peace is not dependent on external conditions. It is something that must be cultivated from within. Your peace is not a gift from others. It is a practice of maintaining balance, clarity, and calm, no matter what is happening outside. Take a moment to reflect. How often do you allow someone else's anger, frustration, or negativity to affect your mood? How often do you react impulsively, giving away your peace to someone else's storm? In those moments, remember that you have the choice to protect your peace. You can choose to pause, breathe, and center yourself, instead of getting caught up in the chaos. This isn't about avoiding conflict or suppressing your emotions. It's about taking responsibility for your own mental and emotional state. You don't need to give others the power to disturb your inner peace. When you make this decision, you start to create a protective boundary around your peace, one that shields you from the noise and negativity that can drain you. Setting boundaries is a key practice in owning your peace. Sometimes this means saying no to situations, conversations, or people that bring unnecessary drama into your life. It also means not feeling the need to justify or explain yourself to others, especially if they do not respect your values or your emotional needs. The Stoics believed in being selective about what you allow into your mental and emotional space. You don't have to engage with everything that comes your way. Own your space and your time, and recognize when it's necessary to remove yourself from situations that threaten your peace. Another powerful Stoic practice is mindful detachment. It doesn't mean you don't care about what's happening around you. Rather, it means that you choose not to become entangled in the emotional upheavals that come with it. You detach your sense of peace from the external world. When faced with challenges, instead of reacting with frustration, you respond with clarity. You don't let anger or fear cloud your judgment. This allows you to remain grounded and maintain control over your emotions, no matter how chaotic the world around you may seem. In practical terms, this could look like taking a step back when a difficult conversation arises. Instead of immediately reacting, take a deep breath, step back, and remind yourself that you are not required to respond emotionally. When you feel your peace slipping away, pause and recenter yourself. You can choose to respond with calm, no matter what others are doing around you. The idea of owning your peace is about realizing that you are in control of your emotional state, even when everything around you seems out of control. This concept aligns perfectly with the Stoic belief that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control our reactions. The more we practice this, the more resilient we become to external stressors. We create a strong foundation of peace that is untouched by external chaos. In conclusion, owning your peace is a deliberate, daily practice. It involves setting clear boundaries, practicing mindful detachment, and choosing how you respond to the world around you. It's about understanding that your peace is your responsibility and that no one can take it from you unless you allow it. By cultivating a strong sense of inner peace, you empower yourself to navigate life's challenges with calm and resilience. You're no longer a victim of external circumstances, but the creator of your own emotional state. When you choose peace, you find strength that cannot be shaken by the storms of life. To close, remember this: peace, joy, and growth begin within. The Stoic principles we've explored today, Discipline, alignment with your values, focus, and protecting your peace are not abstract ideas but actionable steps you can take every day. True happiness is not waiting for perfect conditions but deciding every day to take control of your actions, responses, and emotions. Commit to these practices. It starts with small, consistent habits, even when motivation feels absent. Don't wait for inspiration. Discipline yourself to rise and act. Your identity is shaped by what you do repeatedly. Start small, build momentum, and know each step brings you closer to who you want to be. Align your actions with your values and joy will naturally follow. It's not something you chase, but something that arises when your inner world aligns with your actions. Gratitude, even amidst chaos, will center you and give you strength to face challenges. Remember, your peace is yours to protect. No one can take it from you unless you allow it. By practicing Stoic wisdom, you'll build resilience and an unwavering peace that's unaffected by external chaos. Start today. Take one small step. Protect your peace, align with your values, and choose joy. You have the power to shape your life. Share your journey in the comments and connect with others walking this path of intentional living. Let's walk this journey together.